Most focused and sustained 40-minute effort, especially on the defensive side. I mean, I think obviously it was extra exciting because obviously we shot the ball well, but it really started with our defensive energy and our defensive urgency that led to us being able to build the lead by getting out and getting some easy shots and some easy finishes. But really impressive performance by our guys tonight. And I even, I thought the way that we handled the second half by continuing to guard, continuing to be active, continuing to share the ball, was really impressive.
I mean, you guys put up 55 at halftime. Just how difficult it is, I guess, to stay in that intense mindset in the second half when you have such a big lead?
Yeah, it's really hard, and it's a challenge to the maturity of your group, right? And so that's what we talked about at halftime. We obviously complimented them on the things that they were doing well. There was we gave up 7 offensive rebounds in that first half. I thought there was a couple times late in the half where when the shot went up, we started to leak out instead of do our job rebounding wise. So we talked about that. But we challenged their maturity. We challenged their ability to continue to sustain their effort, something we talk about every day, sustained effort. And so being able to have a second half where, the defensive energy was high, the urgency was high, the ball movement continued, I think those are all really positive signs.
I mean, coming in tonight, last 4 out of the last 5 games, all decided by 1 possession. I mean, it's first 100-point game for you guys since last January, biggest win margin since last January. I mean, I guess, what does a win like this tell your team of how they can win big games?
I think we always talk about preparing ourselves for the worst. You always hope for the best, but you don't get games like this very often. And so the idea is can you continue to understand that this was an anomaly, and then we got to come back to work tomorrow, and we got to stay focused, and we got to concentrate on the things that are going to help us improve, help us get better. Obviously look at the things that we did well. How can we try and replicate those things? But that's where we have to keep our focus at, because every game in this league is always difficult. It's always challenging. This one ended up obviously having a large point spread, but IU Indy has been in every single game they've been in this year, right? Every single game they've played has been hard fought, close. They've battled. They've made shots. We did a good job of not allowing them to utilize one of their strengths, which is three-point shooting, and so, that was really key for us in terms of just our ability to control the game with not allowing them to get some of those clean threes that they've gotten in previous games.
So kind of going off of that now on the 6-game win streak, you guys are really hot right now. A lot of basketball still to be played, though. How do you keep these guys kind of even keeled?
I think that's it. Remind them there's a lot of basketball to be played, and we'll go and we'll continue to talk about trying to make the most of tomorrow in our time that we have together to get ready for Sunday, right? We'll look at this film. We'll talk to guys about things that we need them to continue to do more of, right? But that's exactly what we're going to talk about, right? Again, in a coach's mind, sometimes when you have an effort like this, and doesn't even, regardless of score, just an enthusiasm and an energy that we had tonight, that makes you want to challenge these guys to then do that again, right? Sometimes, obviously, as players, sometimes you want to get celebrated, but it's like, okay, we got to move on to the next, and that's what we'll talk to them about and challenge them to do.
Could you relax today, and did you want to?
I don't know if you can ever really relax. I mean, I think you're always thinking of worst case scenarios, and I have great respect for IU Indy and the games that I've watched. I mean, they've never, regardless of score, never stopped competing, right? And so that's what I just kept telling our team each and every time out. We have to try to focus on this next possession, this next 4-minute segment, to be able to try to do the right things on the floor. And usually when you keep that focus small, at the end you can look back and say, okay, we've accomplished some stuff, or we've come pretty far. But I think once it gets down to that 5-minute mark, you start to think, okay, there's maybe not enough time left, because as a coach you're always thinking about what possibly could go wrong.
Mark, though, right, that some of the starters started coming out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were trying to be intelligent about the amount of time guys were on the floor. Obviously, tried to give, some guys, Rio, I thought, did some good stuff in his 7 minutes, valuable experience for him. Dylan Miller getting 18 minutes. I think those are times you want to utilize that with good judgment based on how they're playing and how we're continuing to function, right? And I thought, Dylan was really urgent defensively. So again, that gives you more confidence to see if he can extend his minutes and can grow a little bit as a player. Same thing with Rio. I thought, Ish gave us some great energy, on the glass and on the defensive side. And so, like, those hopefully can be confidence boosters for some of those guys as we get into, our next opportunity or our next game.
Like you said, there's a lot of games left, but how exciting is this for you to see these guys maybe pull together now? They're surging, they're winning games, and this tonight was kind of phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it's again, it just gives you hope for what they can continue to accomplish. It gives you hope for, how we can continue to grow. I think we've grown a lot through the course of this season, and so I'm proud of that growth. But it's no time at all to start to rest on any laurels, because nothing's really been accomplished yet. We haven't accomplished any of the goals that we've set out as a team, and every game counts the same in the standings, and so we got to continue to work.
I kind of noticed Dickerson after he went down. He was kind of on and back off the court. Is he going to be good to go 100% for Sunday? Or?
Yeah, I mean, he's a monster. He seems to have, sometimes an injury that's dramatic at times. But his ankle has been, it's like when you jam your finger, all of a sudden you get hit in that same finger 5 times. It's like, it's not bad enough to where you can't be out there doing what you do, but it's just like a pain in the butt every time it happens. There's just that annoyance level that you got to deal with, and he's a tough dude and a competitor. So yeah, I would be shocked if he wasn't ready to go. All right. Thanks, guys.
Coach.